Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to everyone in the room, everyone who is online participating in this AI lecture series. And it's a discussion here at New Jersey Institute of Technology sponsored by DataBank. I am David Bader, a distinguished professor in the Department of Data Science, and I'm also the director of our Institute for Data Science. I want to welcome everyone here today to this panel. We have some great panelists who are going to speak, and afterwards at 5:30, there's a nice reception just outside, and I hope everyone here will stick around and join us in that reception. I do have one change that I want to make with panelists. One of our advertised panelists fell ill, and as we introduce our panelists later, I'll tell you about our substitution. So before we begin, it's really my pleasure to introduce President Teek C. Lim. President Lim is the 9th president of New Jersey Institute of Technology, one of the most diverse, innovative, and entrepreneurial universities in the United States. NJIT was recently ranked by the Wall Street Journal as the #2 public institution in America and number 19 among all public and private institutions. Dr. Lim began his tenure here at NJIT in July of 2022 after serving as interim president of the University of Texas at Arlington. Esteemed members and friends of the NJIT community, please join me in welcoming the president of NJIT, Teek Lim.
Thank you, David, for the warm introduction, and thank you all for taking the time to be with all of us to discuss this really, I think, important issue called artificial intelligence. You know, if you have not heard about AI, you must be in a cocoon. I turn left, I turn right, I look up, I look down, it's all AI. So AI is really creating a new and extensive opportunities for innovation and knowledge creation. Also, AI is arguably going to have the greatest effect on the creation and the delivery of knowledge, goods, and services since the invention of the internet and smartphone. This is going to revolutionize the whole world. It is already doing that. Before I go on any further, I would like to thank DataBank for sponsoring our AI lecture series. Tonight's gathering serves as the second one sponsored by DataBank, a company that provides enterprise-class data centers, cloud, and interconnection services. DataBank, as many of you know, also invests in NJIT's exceptionally hardworking and talented students through scholarship support. Additionally, DataBank has worked with us to create a modern data center that is essential to NJIT's AI work and aspiration, including our new $10 million initiative that establishes the Grace Hopper AI Research Institute and that will significantly advance the university's strengths in AI. In 2023 alone, listen to this, NJIT research related to AI total nearly $60 million. That is out of a total of $200 million of total research that we do annually. So almost a third of the research that we conduct last fiscal year is AI related. We have more than 30 faculty members working in AI, all related fields here. During the last 4 years, and many of them thanks to faculty members in Yingwu College of Computing and NCE, work that David Bader, Grace Wong, and others did. We graduated more than 1,600 students in AI and data analytics. So the last 4 years, 1,600 students in AI and data analytics. So what I'm trying to tell you, is we have been working on AI before AI became a buzzword, In fact, I'm surprised we didn't coin the word AI. We should have done that. If we coined it, we could be asking people to pay royalty, right? As you can see, NJIT is embracing its critical role as a leader in the growing field of AI, and tonight should provide a very rich and informative discussion from which we will all benefit. Thank you again for being here, and with that, I'm going to invite Dr. David Bader back to the podium so we can begin the fun part of the program. Okay, thank you.
So we're going to have a pretty fun panel here, as Dr. Lim mentioned, and we have several panelists for you. Let me invite the panelists, as I introduce them, to come up on stage. First, we have Kevin Coulter, who is the Solutions Principal and Field CTO for AI Solutions at Dell Technologies. Thanks, Kevin. Next, we have Grace Wang, who's a distinguished professor in the Department of Data Science here at NJIT. Thank you, Grace. And finally, we have a panelist, Mengjia Xu, who is an assistant professor here in the Department of Data Science at NJIT. I especially want to recognize Mengjia because, as you know, we had a panelist who was originally on the schedule who fell ill, and Mengjia just minutes ago agreed to serve on the panel, not knowing anything about the questions that we're going to ask. So she does a lot of work in machine learning for diverse applications, everything ranging from early detection of Alzheimer's disease to climate data modeling. And so we're really pleased with her expertise on AI that she was able to join us. Thank you, Mengjia, and also to Kevin and Grace as well.
Maybe something called all duties is assigned.
I'll remember that, thank you. You may be seated, and just to tell you how the panel is going to work, I'm going to join them in a second. I prepared a number of questions to ask them about everything from current trends and challenges in AI, ethical considerations that we know are quite important, how does AI work in interdisciplinary collaborations, what is the future of AI in industry and academia, and also some advice to maybe some of you in the audience who are aspiring AI professionals. So we have a number of questions, but I'll get the panel started, and then I'll open it up to questions on the floor. So if you're thinking about questions either in the room here or on Zoom, by all means, just make sure you raise your hand at the appropriate times. And if you're on Zoom, please type your questions in, and they'll be fed to me as the moderator. So everyone's ready to begin? Welcome, Mengjia, Grace, and Kevin. So as I mentioned, and as Dr. Lim mentioned, AI is really becoming quite important. And I'm wondering, maybe each one of you could answer in order. What do you see as the most pressing challenges and opportunities in the field of AI today from your perspective? And I'll start here with Mengjia first, and then I'll go down the line.
Okay. So the main challenges are the opportunities, right? So thank you for the questions. So I think the most challenges so far, there are a few. So the first one, I think we have a lot of different scientific questions that we can apply AI techniques like the large language model foundation models to solve. And another challenge, I think we need to, basically we need collaborations from different domains. And the other challenge, I think we need to understanding the underlying principles of the deep learning, including the very powerful transformer model and the other like ChatGPT, the GPT models and so on, from mathematical side, and also working with the computer scientists and also bring the gap between the different domains.
Thank you. Grace, I know you do a lot of work in financial services with AI, but maybe you could answer that with your hat on related to some of those application spaces.
Sure. Well, actually, last night, I opened the documents that David sent to me, the list of questions. So the first thing I did is open ChatGPT and answered, so what does ChatGPT believe? It is the challenge and also the opportunity. And I got a very long essay, like the ethical issue, explainability. There's a lot of well, different topics related to challenge and opportunity. But I'm not satisfied, to be frank. And then I ask myself, so what I really think is the opportunity and the challenge. So my answer will be to, well, industry and also academia. So for industry, I think the biggest challenge and also the opportunity is, so how to monetize the investment. So for now, we talk about AI a lot. So just like President Lim mentioned just now, so everywhere, so left, right, up, down is AI. And the companies have made vast investment. Just very recent, the CEO of Oracle, Larry, he made a comment in the very recent earnings call conference. So he mentioned that for now, what is the interest investment to remain the technical supremacy in the next 4 or 5 years? So you have a guess. If you didn't read that conference call, so you have a guess what is the number that Larry Ellison mentioned. It's 100 billion, 100 billion. So this is a daunting number. So for you to remain competitive in industry. But, well, the question is, what is the return? You have such a big investment. How to generate scalable, continuous return and revenue based on this investment? Well, just to put this in the perspective, so let's consider internet. So internet basically reshape the whole industry, the business model. How can we connect it to each other? And also if we consider Apple's App Store. Well, Apple's App Store basically saved 3G. So before 2008, many good 3G companies almost died. But because of the older mobile apps, we need higher bandwidth. And then we have an explosive growth of 3G from 2008 until 2012 probably, and then later 4G and LTE. And now, who can live without mobile phone? So we all need mobile phone. So phone has integrated in our daily life. But in contrast, we talk too much about AI, but you can live without ChatGPT. And I believe at least one of you have not used ChatGPT, based on my previous survey. So we can definitely live without it. So how AI has integrated in our daily life? Well, we talk so much about so many concerns and even protest about AI can take our job or whatever. But it is even before AI's potential has been realized. It's far away from there. So returning to the question is, I think the biggest challenge and also the opportunity is how to monetize it. So what is the model, business model that you can really make money from it? Well, you look at the giant company and as well as startup. So which company make money? Which one? Only one, right? So it's NVIDIA, Jason Huang's company. But how about others? So for the very big company, it's very hard. You have to make a big investment for the giant company. And for the startup, for the small startup, the entrance barrier is actually very low because you play with the prompt engineering. So you just call the large language model API. So basically everyone can have a small AI startup, right? But however, when one day OpenAI has a new release and a bunch of startups all get wiped out because they don't have the technical barrier. So now it's kind of a dilemma. For giant company, I didn't see a profitable business model. And for the startup, they don't have the technical barrier. So how to monetize it? So this is what I believe
Thank
for
you,
industry.
Grace.
Yeah.
And I should come clean. You mentioned you looked at ChatGPT for the questions I was asking. Okay, I'll come clean now. So I wrote a bunch of questions for the panel, and they're okay. But I went to ChatGPT with the questions, with their biographies, with some of the goals I had for the panel. And my gosh, it came up with some much better questions. And I thought this is an AI panel anyway. So for full disclosure, Thank you to ChatGPT and to Claude, because I wanted to see if they would all give me different questions, and in fact, they agreed with each other as to the questions I should ask. So they really did help out, and I figured maybe we don't even need me as moderator. Maybe we could just have some
We
AI
need you.
sitting
We need
here, some AI panelists, and maybe next year that's what you'll see at this lecture. But today you have us. So, going back to the original question, what do you see as the most pressing challenges and opportunities in AI today, Kevin?
Yeah, I think we really talked about it, right? It's the vastness of everything that's out there. There's so much to take in with AI. Whether it's the technology stack, whether it's the software stack, whether it's talking in terms of AI and who you're talking to a data scientist is very different than talking to a CFO. And being able to integrate these conversations, and we talk within our company a lot around value versus feasibility and how to align those two with our customers, because they're always, they vary from I don't know where to begin to organizations like NJIT, which has a whole board associated to AI, right? And they're talking every day, and they're changing their culture around the AI process. Where there are other organizations, they're trying to, where do I start, right? So it's filling that gap, I think. And the other thing I think is a big challenge too is just the amount of change. Every day something new comes out in AI. Some new tool, a new startup. Grace was talking about there's always something that happens within this AI space. So as soon as you think you know something, all of a sudden you don't know it.
Thank you, Kevin. So let's switch gears a little bit. We know that AI has the power to help people. It has the power to really create great things. But there's also a lot of concerns that get raised with AI in terms of privacy, in terms of ethics, in terms of its usage. So I really want to understand your thoughts on how do we ensure that AI systems are developed and deployed ethically, and are there specific frameworks or guidelines that you would follow? And maybe I'll start with Mengjia, who does a lot of work in neuroscience and other areas. What are your thoughts on ethics and AI?
Yeah, so I made it in the past few years, since from my PhD time, I work on mainly AI for healthcare, and postdoc time working at MIT, McGowan Institute for Brain Research on the brain neuroimaging data analysis. So I think because usually we are very careful to get the data from the hospitals and also from some research labs. And yeah, so we need to be very careful to protect the subject's information. I'm also new to here, so, but it's very, very important. Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe Kevin, your perspective from Dell and industry?
Yeah, it's interesting just seeing the dynamics going on right now. I mean, you look at what happened with SAG and that whole challenge going on. And I'm a musician, I love playing music, so I follow the music industry quite a bit. And there's somebody who created literally hundreds of IDs and made $10 million on AI music, right? It wasn't even his own, and just created a program to do this. And I think the way to tackle this really is in an ecosystem, where we talk about ecosystems all the time, talking to each other, working with each other, having diversity in every aspect of what's happening out there. That way you get different perspectives. You get the person who is worried about their job and talking about, well, let's talk about this tool. And then focus on innovation, right? So try to get into the innovative space, right? Get out of that concern and try to get into that innovation process. In that innovation, I think ethics will start to become just a natural part of developing these AI systems.
Grace, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Sure. Well, I always believe that AI at its core is just a tool. So there's no difference if for the AI and say the lock-picking tools. The lock-picking tools can open your door if you lock yourself out. As myself, this happened a lot. And it can also open others' door. Then that's a crime, right? So like the weapon can protect the loved ones and the well, the weapon can also harm others. So it depends on how AI is used. From that perspective, there is not much special when we talk about AI ethics, or say computer security ethics, or the ethics related to how to use gun, for example. But what is different is AI is too complex, so it's beyond the knowledge of many of us how it works. So sometimes it looks like ethical, but maybe what's behind it is it's amplifying the bias by using the AI tools without our knowledge. So whenever we talk about AI ethics, I think the most important, the ultimate number one is education, is you know what AI is about, how it works, and so what AI can do and what AI cannot. I think for now we have the fear to AI is we believe AI is so powerful it can do anything, but actually many of the things that people believe AI can do now can be done in the past by just any software system. So education is very, very important to help us to demystify AI, and accordingly, so we can talk about AI ethics in a more collective term. And also, well, I want to emphasize transparency. So if AI is used for decision making, if we understand how the decision is made, that becomes very, very important. And another important topic related to AI ethics is AI auditing. If we don't know what's inside, so at least we have some assessment tools to know, well, whether there's a risk or not, in certain circumstances, whether it can generate a harmful result or it's not. Very much like the stress testing to the financial system after 2008. Yeah, I think that's my comment.
Thank you. AI has really come into the mainstream, probably the fastest technology that we've seen go from a technology lab into interacting with the general public. And we see AI used for everything from lawyers writing cases. We've seen it being used in healthcare for evaluating patients, looking at imagery. We've seen it really in many, many sectors. And what I'm wondering about for AI research, something that NJIT does and is a leader in, how does this, how should research interact with other fields such as law, healthcare, ethics, and how do we encourage more of that interdisciplinary collaboration? Grace, you direct the Center for AI Research. Maybe I'll have you answer that first, and then I'll go to the other panelists.
Yeah, that's for sure. For that, IDS is an annual advisory board meeting. So every year I show a slide. So on one side of the slides is AI domain expert, say like natural language processing, machine learning, deep neural network, graph neural network, whatever. And on the other side of the slides, I always show all the different domains. So transportation, finance, healthcare, solar science, etc. So I believe the collaboration is super important, especially in academia. So just now, the first question you asked us about the challenge, concern, etc. For academia, it's very hard for us to compete with industry right now because of the availability of the hardware. So you consider what Larry mentioned, that the 100 billion investment, and he also mentioned that it's going to build a data center with 800 MW and potentially 1 gigawatt for that data center. And he even mentioned to use some tiny, nuclear fusion to power that data center. It's crazy, to be frank. Well, how academia can just compete with industry? Can any academic institution to build the foundational base model? Actually, I doubt it. And also the gap between academic institution and the industry will get bigger. Well, in these circumstances, what is our edge? We definitely need collaboration. So the domain expert and the AI expert. Yeah.
Thank you, Grace. Kevin, what are your thoughts on collaboration?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because every time I talk to a customer about some of the concerns that they bring up, I always have to highlight the fact that human discernment does not go away in AI. We still have to interact. Human annotation is one of the most greatest aspects of working with retraining an AI model, right? That interaction is important. Using scientific methodologies. I think sometimes when we talk to data scientists, we forget they're scientists. Like start with theory, prove the theory, have their peers all talk to each other. Can you be proven over and over again? All those methods are critical to how we're using and leveraging the AI space. Right? We really have to make sure we're looking at this from a holistic perspective, right? And using these research methods as part of our natural process of developing these tools. I think that's the way we become more and more successful. We build more and more trust into the AI models.
Thank you. Mengjia, same question about interdisciplinary collaborations.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We should build more strong collaborations with different departments and also different, like I have the DOE grant. Actually, I work with geoscientists and from the national lab, and also the applied mathematician from Brown University, and also some other electrical engineering do more like high performance computing. And I'm from data science. So we definitely need to build a lot of collaborations with the different departments, and also from academia, we should also collaborate with the industry. For example, we can maybe in the summer, the students can work in some company as interns, and they can also maybe take advantage of the GPUs there to work on some research topics that we are both interested in. I think that's a good way. Yeah, that's what I can think about.
Thank you. Let me open it up for questions from the audience. And I see one down here. Maybe I'll come over with the mic.
Hi, this is Ali Verdi, and I'm the program director for Biomedical Engineering Department. And I recently took a course from MIT. It's called No Code AI. So basically, what the idea I got from there is that, the big companies will come up with tools. And then, there are so many tools that I learned that I think our thing will be to use those tools and to teach our students how to use those tools. I think is going to be, a collaboration with them. But then the second point is they might come up with those tools, but then they don't have the knowledge that we have as researchers, right? And then so there's going to be distinct prompting or distinct scripts that you can write for those tools or data analysis. I think that's how I see things. That was I don't know if you agree with that or not. How would you respond to that?
Any of you care to respond?
Yeah, sure. So it's interesting is you can train yourself with AI. So one of the things, so we have a lot of conversations. One interesting thing about large language models is asking the right question. So I showed one of my peers the other day, I said, did you know you could just say, generate a prompt that gives me this criteria? And then they look, wow, I can't believe all these parameters are in here. And then we become curious, right? Curiosity, and teach ourselves, as well as setting up guidelines, right? Because I think that's important too. So I think both, it's sort of a bookend type conversation where you can train yourself, remain curious at all times, and then having training, formal training to kind of go through some best methods, right? So you don't have to always do the digging yourself.
Any questions from the audience? Evan?
Hi, I'm Evan Koblenz, NJIT Marketing and Communications Office. I read a lot lately where OpenAI says we're only a couple years, 1,000 hours or so, 1,000 days, I think they said, from general intelligence, and that their current version is supposed to do reasoning. I say that in air quotes. Meta, just the other day, scientists said there's no way it's doing reasoning. It's still just a glorified search engine. I'm a skeptic. I'm curious what you all think.
Anyone want to take that question? How close we are to general intelligence and reasoning?
Well, this question has been asked many times, and there is ongoing heated debate about it. So some big group like Yan Lekong will believe we are not there yet. And he even commented in public many times that the current path along large language model seems hopeless, if I use this word in a bold way. And for some other big guys, they believe that this is the right way. We are closing there. So, well, to be frank, I don't think I can outsmart them. So still, this is ongoing debate about whether there is or not. My own opinion, we are not there. And it will take longer time than most people believe. Yeah.
Kevin, what are your thoughts?
So I'm going to use music again, because I'm a guitarist. So guitar's been around since the electric guitar in the West, 1940s. It's a tool. Doesn't replace musicianship, doesn't replace creativity, right? It doesn't replace a lot of what's going on there. It's a tool to be used, and Grace said this earlier, it's a tool. And as far as learning from each other, it's interesting because there is this tendency I find in a lot of times when customers come to me and are concerned about putting human psychology over AI, and I don't think it's even close to being that. In fact, we had a customer who was a banking customer, and they dealt with investment banking, and we said, well, it doesn't know anything about investment banking, really. It just knows that the language around it, and it can sort of figure out what to look for that would be investment banking related, right? So I think we're a long way from anything that's sentient or knows what's going on. And again, from my personal perspective, I do believe it is a tool in the tool chest that we'll continue to use and leverage for years, right? We still use guitars today. As a matter of fact, it's one of the biggest booming industries, right? Even today, you know, some 90 years, 70 years later? I'm trying to think of the math off the top of my head. So yeah, that's my perspective on it.
Thank you. Any other questions from the audience or from Zoom?
First of all, thank you. And secondly, I actually had two questions, if possible. One, what changes in AI do you foresee that maybe the general public might not be aware of? And two, what are your thoughts on the Elon Musk robot? Just figured I'd ask. Thank you.
Anyone want to take that?
So what was the first question again? Sorry.
Do you see any changes that maybe the general public might not be thinking of or aware of, even with like all the changes in AI today?
I would say no, only because with social media and everything that's happening, news outlets, as soon as it's created, somebody puts an opinion out there, a concern out there, right? And I think this is one of the things, it's very self-regulating in a way. So I don't see anything, quote unquote, hidden within the AI space. I think there's a lot to be learned, especially when we start creating more synthetic data out of AI itself. Right now, we're sort of, for the most part, most of our customers are sort of bringing in their own data and interpreting it, summarizing it, trying to find patterns within it, versus actually creating synthetic data out of it, right? So I think that's going to open up a whole new process going on. And I have no opinion on Elon's robot, sorry.
Grace?
Well, first, I think it's a very hard question to answer. What is the general public's understanding about AI? So only I know the general public's understanding of AI, I can see whether there's a gap or not. So based on the interaction with many, say like I serve on the New Jersey Supreme Court Committee on AI and the courts. I'm the only technical person over there, so all the others are judges and attorneys. But I was very surprised, or I was very impressed by their understanding about AI, especially generative AI. I'm not sure whether they should be called part of the general public or not, And on the other hand, I once chatted with a principal of an elementary school. I was very, very surprised that he never even tried ChatGPT. So I think in the education, even it's elementary school, if the principal did not even try it, then what message can be delivered to our young generation? So my observation is for the general public, their understanding of AI has a super big variance. Well, there are some ongoing projects. I think maybe worth noting is, say, I recently read some, I can mention the general idea because that's a proposal and it's supposed to be kept confidential. I'm evaluating a proposal, and that proposal is how you can kind of insert a chip in your brain and then use the chip to make a certain control. I was surprised I see it in a proposal from academic institution, because in the past we see the news that Elon Musk is working on that, right? That's very
Neuralink,
impressive.
The company Neuralink is working on
Neuralink
that.
is working on that. But now it becomes not a top secret in Elon Musk's company. It's become more, general public if we talk about the academic institutions.
Thank you. I think we have a question on the Zoom that will be read into us.
Yes, we do have a few questions that came in through Zoom. The first question is from Andrew. How do we make AI models more secure, especially in the critical areas like vulnerability detection, where they're consistently at risk from adversarial attacks? Imagine using blockchain to create tamper-proof records of the training process, protecting against data poisoning and ensuring that everything stays intact. The real change is figuring out how to bring in blockchain without the huge costs and slowdowns that often come with it. How can we solve that?
Thank you, Andrew, for that question. Maybe, Kevin, would you like to respond to that?
So I had an opportunity to sit with our CTO, John Rose, and he was having conversations about what we're looking into in this space. For those unaware, there's a zero trust process that we're currently leveraging and part of a board that includes Department of Defense and others, that we're proactively working on ways to take care of security, making sure everything is protected, et cetera. But another thing, and it's kind of funny, brought up blockchain, because we are actually looking at distributed ledgers as part of the technology stack, and where it makes sense, is that the best way? With those checks and balances all in there, with the encryption mechanisms, et cetera, is that the best way to deal with data? So there's the regulatory compliance aspects that are changing, some say not fast enough, and there are integrated technologies that we're putting into technology stacks to protect, but we're also looking at future technologies like the distributed ledgers and how to use them and leverage them in the AI space to make sure that the data is kept encrypted, nobody knows about it, origins, et cetera, right, and do all that protection in there. So,
thank you. Grace or Mingjie, do you want to add to it?
So how to improve the safety of AI? So I think the first thing, we need to understand how the deep learning model learns. There are some common principles underlying the deep learning neural networks. So we need to understand the whole, how the feature learned, and also the weight learning over the training, so that we can develop some, robustness deep learning models and to work on different applications. I'm not an expert in blockchain, so I cannot answer that, but I really want to highlight to understanding the deep learning models from mathematical way is very, very important and should be the high priority now in academia. Like as you just mentioned, you learned the course, some online course from MIT. So the industry provides AI tools and like we can use. But actually, I want to see maybe in the university, all the researchers, I think not all the researchers, at least some researchers, research scientists should try to understand the deep learning model. I think that's a very important task so far. And it's also highly related with how to improve the safety of AI. Thank you.
Thanks, Mingjia. Grace, did you want to add to that?
I think this is ongoing game. It's always ongoing game between police and the thief. It's never end. So the general methodology is one is reactive. Once there's a new attack happened, we study how to mitigate it, and the other is the proactive in the research area of security. There are many research papers is not about how to make the system more secure. Actually, it's about how to hack the system. So you have to have these two roles, and they fight each other, and the system becomes more and more secure. I still remember that is many years ago. We just published a paper in Infocom. We proposed a new encryption algorithm, and the next year, there's another paper published about how to attack our algorithm to make it insecure. So this is an ongoing game. I'm not that clear what is the question about blockchain. Well, my general comment is any secure system is based on certain assumption. So say for blockchain, it's also based on assumptions. It's not that the blockchain is 100% can never be broken. Well, it depends on how you attack it. We can only see that in most of the cases, it is safe, but it doesn't mean that it is just there will never be any problem in the future. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's switch gears a little bit. We're sitting here at NJIT, one of the top leading R1 technological universities in the nation. And I know that we have a number of students in the audience. If you're a student, raise your hand. So we have quite a lot. And I bet many of you are interested in AI and careers in AI. So I could ask the panelists one by one, what advice would you give to these students or early career professionals on customizing their education and really focusing on AI in their careers? What advice would you give them now? And I'll just go down the line, starting with Mingjia.
Yeah, I'm teaching deep learning now, and I usually tell my students that you need to, when there are quite a lot of deep learning models, I think, and also ChatGPT can help you do the homeworks and do the coding, but but I ask my student to understand your code by yourself, and also you need to know how to detect the mistakes ChatGPT made in your homework. Of course, I encourage all the students to work by themselves. So I think to be a student now, especially in all the departments, I think you should first understand some AI models, deep learning models, but better to understand how does it work, and also the history of the development, evolution is also very, very important. Like the attention mechanism is proposed in 2000, is first proposed in 2013, and then developed in extended to machine translation in 2015. So it's not just 2017 and people suddenly develop attention mechanism applied to using in transformer model. So this will also motivate all the young students to help you, to try to develop some skills to invent or develop some new methodologies, not only just apply the current existing algorithm to work on different applications. So it's like a creativity is also very important in this study experience. And also another I think suggestion maybe I would encourage you to like work on focusing on some practical problems and also follow the trends of the AI because it is developing so fast. Yeah, and like I also read the news every day, not all the news, but the important news are mostly in the morning. So we cannot follow behind, even as a professor. So that's my two main suggestions.
Thanks, Ming-Tia. Grace, same question. What advice would you give to aspiring AI professionals?
I think is be open. Be open to any new tools and new skills, and be prepared that whatever skill you have may no longer be needed shortly. So just be prepared. I think now we are in a new time that your health and your mindset is even more important. I don't think there are many skills that you have and then it becomes your barrier for long. It's likely, so soon after that the skill that you have but others don't have, that say AI can provide the help. So make you and your competitor in the same level. So be a lifetime learner is very, very important. And also I mentioned this is a mindset. It's very important that how you deal with the new tools. I can give you an example is, so one day my students stopped by my office and said, oh, Professor Wang, that the humans are done, we are doomed. Because, well, when they need to write the code, they just like ChatGPT to do the work and then copy paste. It seems you don't need to do it because ChatGPT can already do it. Then why I have to do the hustle and learn this is a coding? Well, but if you look at other students, because of the availability of the AI tools, that means whenever you need help, you can have help. Well, in the past, if you write an essay, you want someone to revise it, you have to submit to your professor or say turn to other friends. There is a long time for you to get the feedback. But now, because of the availability of the tools, you can immediately get the feedback to improve yourself. Well, certainly you can also immediately get the result. You don't need to spend your manpower. So this is really the different mindset. So someone, I use this tool to improve myself, and someone becomes lazier and just directly use the tool. And you can see that after some time, these two students will have a big difference. So it's all about ourselves. So how we believe that the self-growth is very, very important. And also what you don't need to worry about is, so in the past, so if you did not keep up with the technology for say 5 years, then probably you are really out. Others accumulated the skill that you don't have. But now I think the next thing is, well, if you are out for 5 years, because of the tools, you can quickly catch up. So this is a very dynamic time. So there will be the reshuffle a lot. So again, it's all on you, your mindset and your health. So be healthy and live longer, and you always have the opportunity. Yeah.
Thanks, Grace. Kevin, what are your thoughts about advice for aspiring AI professionals?
So it's funny, I'm going to put my dad hat on for a minute. It's interesting. Every time I talk to any of my children, I always say, you know, especially the ones in college, remain curious, always. Don't ever take, and I love what we've said so far, right? Always keep in mind, like, the answer you're getting might not be the right answer. Verify, validate, right? This whole trust but verify conversation I have a lot with customers. I think the other important thing too is the social aspect of AI. I think you're learning a lot. You're going to be learning a lot. You're going to continue to learn at an accelerated pace because the information is going to be readily available. Work with your peers. Talk about what you're finding. Talk about what's going on. Talk about, you know, what's right, what's wrong, ways they might be using AI. As I was having a conversation, my wife decided to get her MBA, and she was stuck on a research paper. I said, well, did you use any of the GPTs to kind of give you ideas? And it's interesting. She didn't use it to get the answer. She used it to give her breadcrumbs to get an answer, right? To give her ideas, to look where she can find the research paper. And we talked about transparency earlier, right? Find out where the information's coming from, who wrote it. Like, that's just as important as finding the answer itself. So that'd be my recommendation. Just stay curious, due diligence.
Thank you. Let me ask each of the panelists a question, and then something targeted towards their expertise. And then I'll come to the audience for some more questions. And I'll start with Mengjia. You use AI in your research in neuroscience. Maybe could you describe a little bit of how you combine AI with neuroscience?
Sure. So during my postdoc time, I even currently I'm still working on some projects on brain neuroimaging data analytics. So we basically we want to understand using AI tools, like basically I focus on graph neural networks, which can handle the graph structure data. In our human brain, actually the brain connectome is a graph structure data, so we can detect some early biomarkers. So during the Alzheimer's disease progression, as we know, actually Alzheimer's happens actually 2 decades earlier before its onset. So it's very, very important to detect the Alzheimer's disease, some early biomarkers during the early stage. So that's very important part. So we actually published 3-4 papers related with this topic. And one recent paper actually is apply some hyperbolic graph neural network for the brain, human brain. Basically, this is a healthy brain, not Alzheimer's disease. So they can detect the brain aging trajectory. So we can discover some different hierarchical structures across the brain regions. Usually we have a couple of regions, like hundreds or a few hundred regions in the brain predefined by some brain template. So this can be some of our existing work, but in the future we are planning to work more extended to more like multi-omics, combined with the genomics data and also multimodality neuroimaging data. So usually for the brain neuroimaging, we have like functional MRI and MEG data, and also there are some structure MRI. So how to combine all these different modality data and also combine with the text data now, like genomic time series data, together using some large language model. That's also one of our main focus in the future. That's my current studies.
Thank you so much, Mengjia. Maybe Grace, I'll turn to you. And as an advisor on various governmental AI committees, how do you see governments balancing between innovation and regulation with AI?
Well, currently I serve, as I mentioned just now, I serve on the New Jersey Supreme Court Committee on AI and the courts. So in this committee, I work together with our judges and attorneys about how AI should be used and how to understand AI, etc. Well, for now, we have some tangible products. So if you search New Jersey Supreme Court as a keyword plus AI, you can see a website about all the products that we worked. Say, for example, like the statement of the principle of judicial systems ongoing usage of AI, or the suggestion to how the suggestions to the attorneys how they should use AI, especially generative AI. So there are some of the documents listed on the website. Well, personally, I feel that the government pay more attention about the regulation. But on the other hand, at least in this Supreme Court, they are super open to new technology. So here I want to emphasize again, well, the importance of education, transparency, as well as auditing. So they require the judges and the attorneys to be aware of how AI works. So at least always have a question mark. So when they are presented a certain evidence that is related to AI, so how they should treat this evidence, how they should make a decision that this particular evidence can be presented to the court or not. For another role as the subject matter expert in AI for the Homeland Security, well, I was told my job is if there's any national emergency, they will contact me to give some consultant to the chief scientist, and then will brief the secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. But for now, they didn't ask me any question yet. And I think this is good because that means there's no national emergency.
Thank you, Grace. Kevin, I'll turn to you. And as field CTO of Dell, you work with both technical teams and business leaders. How do you bridge the gap between the technical complexities of AI and the strategic needs of businesses?
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do as a company is operationalize a lot of what's happening from a technology stack perspective, right? Make it simpler to deploy, use, test, which then from a business perspective, I can talk about value, I can talk about use cases, and then it's more of, okay, here's the value, the use case. Let's take a look at the underpinnings of what's going on in your organization. Do you have the right technology today? Do you have the data? Is it clean data, right? I can focus on sort of from a business perspective, focus on business processes, right? And I don't have to worry about the underlying technology stacks because we're always deploying those and innovating them and working in them every single day. NVIDIA and AMD and Qualcomm and Broadcom, all of our partners out there, we're always innovating. So it's really really just making the technology conversation easier in a way and really looking at the use cases and the values we could drive.
Thank you. And I think we have time for just one more question, and I'm going to reach out to the audience. I see a question. We're going to come with the mic.
Hi, I'm Wayne Fox. I am an attorney. I teach artificial intelligence for decision making at the Martin Tuckman School of Management. So I'm not trying to teach the students how to make AIs, I'm teaching them how to use the AI. The one thing I've noticed is that ChatGPT is like having this friend, this really smart friend that you can have this conversation with, and they answer you back with a full written report and references, so that you can take a chain of thought and just keep going through and asking questions and having this conversation with the AI. Well, recently, in the last 2 days, we've been having a conversation about Elon Musk, saying that we're going to have $20,000 to $30,000 robots that will be plugged into AI. And now when we take AI out of just being a concept or being something that we're interacting with on the screen, and we make it a real physical activity, that was a real challenge for the students to say, when your career, when you get to be the CTO of something in 15 years, you're going to have to be contending with robots. So I'd like to have the panel, address what they think about the future of AI and when we make it physical, as in robots.
Great question. Would anyone like to tackle that? Kevin?
Wow, you guys are picking on me today. I just, my own observations, right? So robotics has been out there for a long time. I mean, it's not new to us. I think it's funny because one of the things we do, so for example, digital human experiences, there's a whole psychological aspect of what's going on here, right? The uncanny valley and what happens and if it's too real and I think there's going to be naturally this process that'll occur, right? Within this, from a social perspective, from a global perspective of whether we're going to accept or reject what happens in the robotic space and how it's being presented. it's just what we see. It's funny, I think it was the movie Avatar, the first release of it was rejected because it was too human-like in how it was functioning, right? So I think there's these natural processes that kind of evolve over time that I think from a robotics perspective, it's going to be interesting to see what happens and how what the future brings. And will it just be a tool, and will we use it like a tool, and how it's going to evolve over time.
Thank you. So unfortunately, we've run out of time. This has been a very fascinating conversation with everyone in the audience and our panel. I'd like to take a moment to first thank the three panelists, Mengjia Xu, Grace Wang, and Kevin Coulter. So thanks to the three of you. And I also want to recognize DataBank, NJIT's partner, and also one of the sponsors of this AI lecture series. So again, thank you everyone in the room. Thank you for everyone who participated via Zoom. And I hope that you will join us here right after this conclusion to a nice reception that we have in the hallway. Thank you very much.
Thank you.